Welcome to the Black Conservative Voice with David Colbert. We're going to be starting off this evening, about some things I consider to be a serious thing. And this piece of an article that I'm going to be sharing right now is out of a publication called The Blue Gorilla. It's a thing that's been aimed at pointing these different things out. The Blue Gorilla, and you can tell by blue, we're probably talking about the Democratic, the left. It's in an article in an education correspondent, and it's talking about at the University of Oxford, and it says here it has black students at the University of Oxford who feel traumatized by the killing of George Floyd will be able to apply for a reduction in workload and special consideration in their exams. Boy, can you make this stuff up? This little article here and this information was shared to me by a lady by the name of Donna W. I'm not going to use her last name, but it's Donna W. Thank you, Donna, for this information. Also in this sharing that she shared with me, she shared the names of the deaths of these 8 children. I'm going to be announcing there's others who have died during these riots and these other situations that have gone on in this country of late. But these particular ones I'm going to identify, and I'm going to mention their names, and hopefully we can get them put up on the screen here. The first name is a young lady, Natalia Wallace. She was 7 years old. And then we have Mackay James. He was 3 years old. Fernando Jones Jr. was a 14-year-old. And Sincere Gaston was a 1-year-old. Then we have a lady by the name of Anna Nunez Anaya, who was also killed. She was 10 years old. Then Amadia Jones, 13-year-old. Devin McNeil, 11 years old. And Socoria Turner, 8 years old. The violence and this foolishness that's on our streets here in America is taking away our history. And it's also taking away our future by the killing of children on the streets of this country. This garbage put out by a group that identifies themselves as Black Lives Matter, all those names I showed you, and hopefully we can get it up, all those names on the screen, all of those names of the children I showed you that I talked to you about were all African American children. All of them. They were all killed. They were shot, or I'm not sure if they were trampled or whatever the situation of death, but they were all killed during the foolishness and the riots and the things that are going on by this Marxist organization who identifies itself as Black Lives Matter. I've also posted something on my Facebook page showing that it's not only blacks that they're there. There are people that Black Lives Matter is a Marxist organization. There's no doubt of that in my mind whatsoever. And they're also funded by an organization called Act Blue, which is the Democratic Party's fundraising. Okay. The news today. In New York, Goya Foods is facing a swift backlash after its CEO praised Donald Trump, President Donald Trump, at a White House event a few days ago. Goya was founded in Manhattan in 1936 by Don Prudencio, I can't pronounce his last name, Unayu, and his wife Carolina, immigrants from Spain. The company calls itself the largest Hispanic-owned food company in the United States. Robert Unayu, a grandson and now Goya CEO, spoke to Rose Garden event announcing a Hispanic Prosperity Initiative on Thursday last week. We all truly are blessed, he said, at the same time to have a leader like President Trump who is a builder. Unayu said, standing in the podium beside President Trump. Now, I apologize if I'm not pronouncing your name correctly. But President Donald Trump listens as Robert Unayu Goya Foods' speech during a roundtable meeting with Hispanic leaders in the cabinet room on Thursday. Almost immediately, a boycott Goya Foods and Goya Way began trending on social media platforms like Twitter, with swarm coming seemingly from all directions, including some big political names. Many were angered by the support, citing Trump's history of derogatory comments and harsh policies toward Hispanic, most notably the administration's policy of separating immigrant families at the U.S.-Mexico border. And that's not a policy. That is just our immigration, the ICE policy and the way that they handle things. And it's been proven that it's not as bad as they're trying to make it. Former presidential candidate Julian Castro was among those to take to Twitter, saying Unenu praised someone who villainizes Goya customer base. And of course, another radical, Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez of New York, said she would learn to make from scratch some of the Latin cuisine that Goya makes. Goya did not immediately comment. According to the Pew Research Center, 13.3% of eligible voters in the United States this year are Latino, a record high. Trump has been working hard recently to court Latino voters who could swing the vote in the states such as Arizona on Wednesday. He welcomed President Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador to the White House with lofty language, of course, calling Mexico a cherished partner. Now, this is coming from a liberal rag. So anyway, and the way the wording and stuff is, Trump's tone was in stark contrast for when he kicked off his 2016 political or presidential campaign by referring to Mexicans. And no, he didn't do that, no. They're trying to say he referred to them as criminals, and that's not true. If he's talking about anything, he's talking about those that are not people that we should even be following, those people who are not people that represent those in this country, which I believe are decent people just trying to accomplish something in this country. Goya recently donated thousands of pounds of food to families in the Bronx, Harlem, who have been affected by COVID-19. The company also made a big donation to public schools in Queens. Now, this does not sound like to me as though this company is in any ways what they try to do. Anybody that supports President Donald Trump, they try to say is racist or something like that, or he don't love his people. But this is pure foolishness. AOC and Julian Castro, I was with him in San Antonio, his brother and all of them. And it's just like, come on. They're always going to say something because they're liberals, and they always take the side of the socialists, which is people who are against our country, who want to destroy capitalism. Trump supporters launched a Goya buy count in which they stockpile Goya products in response to leftists boycotting the brand. So Mr. Unanus, I'm sorry if I'm not unanimous, he is being blessed by the Democratic Party, by their insults and calling him to be boycotted. Now his business is going to be going up big time. It's going to be really getting larger. He may even have to open another location. Conservatives, including Fox News host Mark Levin, Senator Ted Cruz, and Senator Marco Rubio have supported the boycott. One pro-Trump consumer launched a GoFundMe page campaign to raise funds to buy and donate Goya products to food pantries in the D.C. area. Visit Business Insider's homepage for more of this on the story. After Goya CEO Robert Unanue praised President Trump during a meeting at the White House last Thursday, anti-Trump consumers called for a boycott of the Hispanic food brand. After the initial backlash, Unenu doubled down on his statement of support for the president, saying that he would not apologize. In reaction to the boycott, Trump supporters have launched a boycott. A boycott was pitched by Fox News host Mark Levine. So if you're a Trump supporter, get out there and buy Goya foods. We're going to take a short break right now, and you're watching The Black Conservative Voice with David Colbert. Welcome back. You're watching The Black Conservative Voice with David Colbert. We're going to be discussing a little bit right now what I've seen recently is a statement made by Mr. Giuliani. During the segment, on his segment with, I believe it was Tucker Carlson, Mr. Giuliani claimed that Black Lives Matter, Antifa, he didn't claim it's the truth, that Black Lives Matters, Antifa, unspecified communists are working together, and that's correct. And then he said the FBI found no evidence suggesting Antifa groups are involved in the organization of the protests, and both Antifa and Black Lives Matter are largely decentralized and unstructured groups more akin to ideologies than traditional organizations. And let me tell you something. The FBI, they found all kinds of lies against President Trump when he was up for election. So I don't want to, and I'm not going to believe the FBI, any statement that they make. It's already been proven that those people that are protesting, they claim to be Black Lives Matter, and the fact that Black Lives Matter was started by an anarchist, a Marxist. I didn't pick up her name, but she admittedly said that she was a Marxist, and she started the Black Lives Matter campaign. And if you look at the protests, most of the protesters are white Americans. Mr. Giuliani claimed the protests were no longer about Floyd, which are not, and that organized anarchists leading them were receiving significant funding from an outside source, though he stopped short of naming a mysterious benefactor. I'll name them ActBlue, the fundraiser for the Democratic Party. That's who they are. They're a direct link to donations to the site Black Lives Matter. Fox News removed doctored images of George Floyd protests. The former New York mayor called for people to stop being silly and oppose Black Lives Matter. We have to oppose them because they're a Marxist organization. People who are favorable to Black Lives Matter wants to come and take your house away from you, he said. They want to take your property away from you. They want to let criminals out of prison, all criminals. They're anarchists and they're anti-American. And you can say what you please, they want to defund the police. So who's going to protect you if we do not have our police department? We need the police to protect us. There's a lot of evil out here in the world, and a lot of us is following the Democratic Party. Fox News, especially the network's opinion hosts and commentators, has been ringing alarm bells for their viewers since the start of the George Floyd protests. But its coverage has ramped up in recent weeks due to the establishment of Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone in Seattle and the toppling of the colonial Confederate statues throughout the country. Mr. Giuliani, fearful, wondering that Black Lives Matter is coming for not Fox News viewers. Property was not far off from the message Tucker Carlson delivered to his viewer 2 weeks ago. Okay, we're going to take a short break. We're going to be right back at you. And we're going to talk a little bit about what Tucker Carlson has gone through. Welcome back. You're watching Black Conservative Voice here on the CTM News Network with David Colbert. Once again, I'm going to give you an opportunity. There's a website at the bottom of the screen. If you want to purchase airtime here as far as advertising, if you're a small business, or if you're a larger business, or if you're a politician, you want to purchase airtime here, our rates are very low. So if you contact that website, you will find out our rates are extremely low. And we are right now reaching quite a few people. We may not be reaching millions, but we are reaching thousands and soon to be millions. So please do, be watch out for that and be able to take advantage of this low rate for advertising. Take advantage of it, people. Okay, let's move on. On another note, as far as advertising go, advertisers dropped Tucker Carlson's show after Black Lives Matter comments. Mr. Tucker claimed that Black Lives Matter is in league with the Democrats, were going to eliminate police entirely and replace them with woke militias, who would then secure power for liberals across the country. This is the truth. This is the truth, people. This is not a lie. I've witnessed myself in the media. And for the militias that are lining up to take, now I'm talking about white militias, I'm talking about black militia that is lining up to try to take the police place. If you allow this garbage to happen, this country will be a police state. You'll be ruled by some guy who has no education out here, don't know how to deal with people at all. And he would, the rule of the day probably be, well, they don't listen to us, they shoot them or take their house or whatever. See, the thing is we forget what we're fighting for. We are fighting for capitalism in this country. That's the right to own your own business, to own your own homes, to own your own property. If you go over to communism, then you will have no rights such as that. They will take your property. They will take your homes. Ask the people in Cuba. Ask the people in all these communist nations what happens when communism steps in. If they don't want you to have your business anymore and you're making profit, they will come in and they will take your business away. But later in the segment, Mr. Carlson claimed, just as Mr. Giuliani did this week, that the protesters were not about black lives and warned his viewers that Black Lives Matter would be coming for them. And it's the truth. They're coming for you, people. If you support that group, you're in trouble because you're supporting the Democratic Communist Party. And they know that. They call themselves the Socialist Party. So, they're not denying. I heard AOC say it herself, that she was a Democratic Socialist. So we have socialist communists trying to take over our government. Please, people, get out to the polls and vote. Democrat, Republicans, vote those individuals that are far left out of the government. Else we're going to have a major issue in our country continuing on for the next 4 years. And I, for myself, do not want to see this happen. Then it goes to say, this may be a lot of things, this moment we're living through, but it's definitely not about black lives, Mr. Carlson said. And remember that when they come for you, and at this rate, they will. I was watching a video recently, and I posted a video on the Facebook page where the people are setting, all races, all colors, creeds, sitting in a nice curbside restaurant, and they were having their meal, and these people, predominantly white, protested Black Lives Matter with children present and young adults and children present, and they're screaming absurdities and profanities out of their mouths, and these small children are looking by surprise because they're jumping up on the wall, screaming to the top of their lungs, obscenities and perversion. I have this to say for you protesters of Black Lives Matter. You're a bunch of jerks, because if you're going to protest, at least have the decency to protest in proper language. Why are you yelling absurdities? You think that we're going to pay more attention to you for you saying F you, F that, F this person, F that person? No! All we're going to see is a bunch of fools trying to push a narrative that has nothing to do with George Floyd. It has nothing to do with him. It has more to do with the Democratic Socialists trying to push their agenda to the American people. And I'm going to tell you, Democrats, they're not buying it. You are Sleepy Joe. Sleepy Joe is asleep in his basement and now probably got a little pillow cuddled underneath his head. Because he's doing nothing for the Democrats. Because he has to do nothing. They're going to take him, if he gets in office, if it's possible, which I think they will try to steal the election, I guarantee it. But what you're going to find is that he is a puppet, just like President Obama was. You can argue with me if you want, but President Obama was a puppet as well. he would exercise executive orders because he was upset with the far left. He himself leaned more towards the far left, but he was upset with the far left as well. And when he wanted to accomplish certain things that seemed to be for the people, they fought against him as well. So, this is David Colbert. I want to thank you for joining me here for the Black Conservative Voice here on the CTM News Network, The Voice of Truth. Please do come and sponsor this program. I'm telling you, our rates are very cheap, so contact the website underneath, and you will be amazed. If you got any kind of dough or money, you can get all kinds of spots on this station for a very low price before we go big, before we get so big that our rates will go up because we're reaching a lot more people. So hop onto the train, grandfather in. Who knows? If you support us enough, you'll grandfather in, and when we're getting the millions of viewers, then you'll get in on the train as well. And so come on, hop on the Trump train 2020. Well, once again, I want to thank you for listening tonight. This is David Colbert for the Black Conservative Voice. Until next time, God bless you, and God bless America, and God bless the world. Good night.